Am I the asshole for asking my girlfriend to not take so many photos when we are out together? My M24 girlfriend F24 recently became interested in photography after being gifted a camera. At first I thought it was great she found a new hobby and was supportive of it. But things have gotten a bit much. Whenever we go out anywhere, she brings her camera and stops every minute to take photos of flowers, people's houses, street lamps, rubbish, literally anything. It gets annoying because I always have to wait for her to stop taking photos. Or if I walk on eventually, she acts like she doesn't even notice and makes no effort to walk alongside me. It's also pretty embarrassing when she's stood outside someone's house for 5 minutes trying to get a perfect shot. Like if someone did that outside my house, I'd find it creepy or think they were planning a robbery. She also is trying out street photography where you take candid shots of people. I understand it's a legitimate type of photography, but it makes me uncomfortable when she takes photos of random strangers when she's with me. She is not very discreet about it, and when I ask if she's concerned about people knowing she's taken their photo, she just says she's legally allowed to do so. That may be so, but I find it a bit rude or weird to do it without their permission, especially when she posts the photos on an Instagram account. I told my girlfriend what I thought the other day because I just wanted to run errands with her, without always stopping so she can take photos. I told her there's nothing wrong with her hobby, but that it's getting a bit annoying when we are out together. She got really upset, saying she's found something she's passionate about and wishes I took more of an interest. She also thought I was mocking her, which wasn't my intention. She is being withdrawn and distant, and I feel I was a bit harsh. I don't want to stop her from doing something she enjoys or put her down, but at the same time it was just getting a bit frustrating. Am I an unsupportive asshole? Not the asshole. Sometimes you just want to walk to the store and get milk and burger buns without stopping 20 feet for a dozen photos. Not the asshole. While you should support her hobby, that doesn't mean every waking moment needs to be spent taking photographs. Also, I agree with you about the candid shots. It's intrusive. It would make sense that she take pictures sometimes while at other times leaving the camera at home so that she can focus on spending time with you or doing other things besides photography. Not the asshole. She's essentially forcing all of your together time to be her hobby time. That's not cool. Info: has she checked whether what she's doing is legal where you are? Because where I live, there are some distinctions. I.e., taking photos of strangers in public is allowed, but you need to get their consent to share the photos. Also, I believe it is also illegal to take photos of strangers in their homes for privacy concerns. I think you're coming from a good place though. But she needs to understand that there's a proper place, time and way of pursuing her hobby. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She sounds like she's found something she enjoys, which is nice. That said, I've been known to dive head first into a hobby and block things or people out. And that's not good. Perhaps you could offer to take a trip specifically for photography, like a park or botanical garden. And she can explore the hobby at more appropriate times like that. Not the asshole. UGF is tar for taking people's photos without their consent and posting them. For the other excessive photography, she probably is just excited about the new hobby. You can try communicating with her and have specific days time where you both are just going out without the camera. Not the asshole. You aren't saying she can't do her hobby, Just asking that she not do it every second while you two are together. Also, I do not like the street photography thing. Not the asshole. Regardless of any ethical issues of taking pics of people or private property without consent. This sounds exasperating to deal with on the regular. A one-time cool event for photos. Like a hot air balloon festival or something. I'd give some grace and be patient. But every single time you go in public. That's exhausting. Not the asshole. It makes you uncomfortable and that's perfectly fine. She can do her hobby on her own time. While she is allowed to photograph people in public. If she is posting them and the people are recognizable, there could be a problem. My photography and the law class was long ago. But she may want to check out current law on the subject. Not the asshole. My daughter is a photographer. She doesn't take photos of people without asking and doesn't invade the privacy of people's homes. She doesn't take her pro camera everywhere. On every outing. I went with her on photo shoots twice to a historic area. She warned me beforehand it was a photo shoot and I need to be patient. Which I was. Because I knew what I was getting into. It's fun to watch a talented artist at work. But not all the freaking time. I don't blame you for being bothered. Not the asshole. You just need to mix it up a bit. Start making special trips out together just for her to take photos. Go to a park or flower garden and just stroll around while you talk about your day week. Let her take all the time she wants because you don't really have a destination or a timeline. Part of the adventure could be you trying to surprise her with good locations. So propose a compromise. That you will occasionally take her out for photography sessions if she doesn't take as many pictures when you are out trying to get errands done. Not the asshole. My partner is also a photographer on the side. At first it was very annoying. Constantly stopping and waiting. I brought a book with me once on a walk and he was shocked. He said, "I'm so sorry. I didn't really think. Is this boring for you?" And I explained. It's not boring all the time, but every single walk is a bit much for me. Just explain that whilst you are happy she's found a passion. Could you please have camera walks and non-camera walks? Or meet her after she's been out with the camera, as it's unfair to you and your time. Not the asshole. I hate people with no concept of others' emotions. I'm a 6 blonde woman and in my area. I'm a rare Pokemon. So I get a lot of stares. It makes me feel gross. Especially because some people stare with their mouths open. It took a while for me to feel okay going out and being looked at. I would feel so sad to see a woman with a camera snapping photos of me when I'm just trying to have a nice time out. You think I'm a freak show lady. I stand out. But that doesn't give you permission to get close and take Insta pictures to make you feel like an artist. Not the asshole. I run a small YouTube channel about a video game my significant other is not remotely interested in. I do not ask him to watch it or be in the room with me while I'm recording or streaming. And I try to not record or stream while he is doing something around the house that would disturb. It's great your GF found a hobby she's passionate about. But she doesn't need to involve you in it and she can pursue it without you around. In fact, it's perfectly healthy for her to do so. You are altering your life constantly to please her. What is she doing for you? Your new hobby is walking rapidly without stopping or conversation. Good exercise. Not the asshole. She is violating societal rules. Yes, she is legally allowed to take pictures. But that doesn't mean someone won't try to kick your ass over it at some point. She needs to pursue her hobby in a more socially acceptable manner. Am I the asshole? Calling out a friend's divorce because she wouldn't leave my husband alone. My husband works with a girl named Lucy who also happens to be part of our social circle. I wouldn't say she's close to us, but she's a close friend of a friend, so we'll see her once in a while when there are group outings. She also works with my husband John. And I guess because we also see her outside of work, she thinks she's super close to my husband. I'm not a super jealous type. But I drew a line when my husband himself voiced discomfort at Lucy's behavior. She likes to make jokes about being his work wife. Try and push me out of conversations with my husband, i.e., you weren't at the office, so you wouldn't understand. And has tried to initiate one-on-one hangouts with my husband. John has turned her down. And has also explicitly told her that she was making him feel uncomfortable and to stop. She's just laughed and brushed it off. And still continues. He hasn't brought it up to work yet because she's a single mom and he didn't want to get her in trouble. Her advances have mostly been just annoying. But it recently escalated, which brings us to the issue. At a barbecue, my husband was sitting around a fire pit with his friends. I got up to get food. And I came back right as Lucy came and sat down on my husband's lap while joking. Your work wife can entertain you while your normal wife is busy. This was the first time she made a physical advance. And my husband immediately jumped up and pushed her off. She laughed and told him to stop being so sensitive. And I could tell it embarrassed my husband. It was at this point that I told her, maybe if you had focused more on being a real wife instead of a work wife, you wouldn't be divorced. Lucy immediately left the party after that. And I found out from our friend that she cried in her car. She's since skipped and avoided all events where I'm there with my husband, which has caused a strain with our mutual friend. Most of our other friends were on my side. But some said I was too harsh and that Lucy was just kidding around. Not the asshole. Lucy crossed a big line and needed to be put in her place. Publicly. It's probably the only way you and your husband could get her to stop. Bold and brazen while trying to cloak it as a joke. Wow. Not the asshole. Lucy is trying to steal your husband. Thankfully he's a good guy and isn't having it. Time for him to go to HR. There's a non-zero chance that she'll go first and report him for harassment. Good luck. Not the asshole. Lucy is lucky that she just felt your wrath rather than your husband going to HR like he should. I understand completely why your husband doesn't want to. There are probably two reasons. One, he really doesn't want her to get in trouble, and two, it's embarrassing for a man to say they are being sexually harassed. You should probably tell your husband that he needs to go to HR about it. She shouldn't lose her job over one instance, and she'll hopefully learn a very valuable lesson. Sexual harassment in the workplace isn't a game. Not the asshole. She was sexually harassing your husband. And not for the first time. Your comment was harsh. But that's apparently the only way to get her attention. She wasn't taking no for an answer. She needed to be called out. And harshly. Not the asshole. She was told it made him uncomfortable. Her feelings on the matter no longer matter. It's the risk you take when you ignore polite boundaries. She taught you both that she wasn't going to stop. So you called her out. Natural consequence. She seems extremely insecure. Some said I was too harsh and that Lucy was just kidding around. Then go hop on their man's crotch and see if they laugh. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Whether it's due to her feeling insecure because of a divorce, or unrequited feelings towards your husband, None of Lucy's behavior is okay. Your husband has told her that he's not okay with her behavior. If this was a guy doing it to a girl, the shouts of sexual harassment would be far and wide. Just because a woman is the aggressor doesn't make it less offensive or wrong. Not the asshole. I never thought this type of burning could happen at a barbecue lol. On a more serious note, she was making your husband uncomfortable and he has voiced it multiple times. In all honesty, if he hasn't already, he should talk to HR if possible. Had the genders been reversed, Lucy would probably not have many people in her corner, if any. Not the asshole. The moment she plopped her butt in your husband's lap was the moment she gave up the right to be taken aside and told what she was doing was wrong. You were a lot nicer than I would have been in that situation. Not the asshole. Her gross behavior needed to be stopped. Tar and shame on your mutual friend for saying that was acceptable. She's made comments and was asked to stop. She escalated things and got physical. Then she's embarrassed about getting called out. Playing dumb games. Win dumb prizes. You were quick-witted and way more calm than I would have been. Not the asshole. Lucy is weird. Not the asshole. Lucy sounds unhinged. Honestly. Sorry you and your husband have to deal with that. Not the asshole. She's repeatedly ignored your husband's requests to back off. It was time you or your husband told her to cut it out. Not the asshole. She is literally sexually harassing your husband. The two of you would only be TA to yourselves for not contacting HR about this. Her behavior is absolutely inexcusable. Imagine if a man did this to a woman. Your husband's harassment is only getting worse, and frankly, people who sexually harass their coworkers deserve nothing short of being fired and publicly humiliated. Tar. You did the right thing. She's way out of line and desperate. If she persists with harassing your husband, report her to their HRD. That's unbecoming. Not the asshole. Sitting on his lap and making the comment that she would entertain him while his wife was busy. Crossed the line. So far over the line she can't see the line in the distance. Especially when OP's husband had told her before that her bet was not welcomed. None of her behavior was kidding around, and if the idiot how said that had someone behaving the same way towards their partner, they wouldn't be saying that it is kidding around. Not the asshole. Your husband needs to talk to HR at this point. Because there's every possibility that Lucy decides to go there first and make some shit up now that she's been so directly called out. Fuck around, met, find out, brilliantly handled, and way to stand up for your husband. Not the asshole. You've done nothing wrong. Lucy is the biggest asshole in all of this. But your husband is also an asshole for not notifying HR. There are ways to do it without consequences for Lucy. And he should have done that much sooner. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Let's call it what it is: sexual harassment. It isn't different because he is a man. I love the comeback. Not the asshole. What she's doing is sexual harassment, and TBH, she's lucky you called her out before it got her in hot water at work. The result of that would have been much worse. Not the asshole. Hubby should be documenting her behavior and reporting it at work. Not the asshole, and he needs to report her to our. Honestly don't care that she's a single mom. Her behavior is harassment, and in HR world can be viewed as sexual harassment, especially if she makes a physical advance like that at a work function or at work. If she gets fired, it's through her own actions, not your husband's. Also, that's a good comeback. Am I the asshole for not letting my nephew live with us in college? My wife and I have 2 twin boys who are going to college next month. We are very excited for them and also excited for us to be empty nesters. I love my boys, but I've been looking forward to living with just my wife and I for a long time. My wife's sister has a son, Josh, who will be going to a college in the same city we live in. He was supposed to have an athletic scholarship that would pay for most of his tuition and room and board, but it fell through due to an injury that will mean he won't play anymore. He's wanted to go to that school for non-sports reasons for a while, so he will still go there. My wife's sister recently asked us if Josh could stay with us during school or freshman year, since we'll have 2 empty bedrooms and dorms are expensive. My wife said she'd begrudgingly allow it if I was on board, but admitted it's not really what she wants, and agreed we both need to be on board for it to happen. I declined. I feel bad for Josh, but I want my privacy and don't want to live with an 18-19-year-old college kid. If one of my kids stayed home an extra year, that'd be a little disappointing. But I'd allow it. But I don't want my nephew here. It's caused a bit of conflict with my sil calling me a selfish asshole and saying I'm not acting like family. I suggested they just take out more loans to pay for it. If they don't have the cash in hand, which I think they could make work if they tried. Or if Sil went back to work. Am I the asshole? X200B. Not the asshole. But stop yourself from giving a point of view on her finances, career options, etc. Stay out of all that. I also find it hard to believe a kid going off to college wants to have his freshman year experience with his aunt and uncle as roommates. Not the asshole. You don't have to solve this problem for your sil. So no need to continue giving suggestions. Your answer to her is that won't work for us. And that's all you need to say. Enjoy your empty nest. Not the asshole. I think it's actually very selfish to ask anyone to take in their kid when they know they have 2 children already and are about to have an empty nest, and she could also go back to work to supplement the income for her son. Spare me. You are so not the asshole at all. They also just assumed you all would let him live there, hence no other arrangements were made for your nephew. Not the asshole. Was she planning on paying you for the added cost of another person in your house? Not the asshole. My guess is your nephew doesn't want it either. My mother had a weird thing about doing something similar when I was finishing high schools. I deliberately looked at schools where I knew we didn't have family or friends. Not the asshole. I understand wanting to be empty nesters. As parents, we did our jobs and want to have some quiet and peace. Plus, life is unpredictable. What happens if one of your sons or both decide that the college they are going to isn't for them? It isn't fair to give up your kids' rooms when they technically still live there. They will come home. It may be at a time when the nephew is still there. It isn't fair for your sil to expect Am I the asshole? Because I ate early. We're on vacation with my husband's family. We got here Sunday afternoon. And I was hungry. I made food for myself and my son. My husband said to wait for his family so we could all have dinner together or maybe even go out. It was around 4 o'clock. And he was saying we'd eat at 7. I said I was hungry. And my son and I ate. After that, the three of us sat by the pool. His family arrived around 6. And everyone was hungry and wanted to go out to eat. I don't know if it was the traveling or what. But I was exhausted. So I said I was too tired and would go to bed early. My son stayed home with me. Because he wasn't hungry and wanted to stay. I woke up early this morning. And I made tea and sat by the pool while my son played. When my sister-in-law woke up, she came out to the pool and told me off for eating early. Not going to dinner and being so standoffish. She said everyone wanted to see me and my son. And I was being such a bitch. I said I was tired from traveling. She said if I forced myself to stay awake, I'd be on the same schedule as everyone else. But since I went to bed early and woke up early, I was going to have the same excuse tonight. She also told me off for not making breakfast when I was the first to wake up. But I didn't know when everyone was going to wake up. And no one wants cold breakfast. She just rolled her eyes and walked away. I feel like everyone's been standoffish to me all morning and I'm wondering if I should apologize. Was I an asshole? Not the asshole. It was travel day. And you were hungry and tired. She also told me off for not making breakfast when I was the first to wake up. Is that a rule for your family when you do family events? Shit like this is why I don't do group vacations. Not the asshole. When your body is sending hunger signals, you should eat. Waiting 3 hours to do so is ridiculous and unhealthy. And your child's bedtime would have likely occurred during the time they were out for dinner. So pretty inconsiderate of them to not include that as a factor when choosing a dinner time. And these people are adults. They cannot get themselves breakfast. Lol. There's got to be more to this, right? She just called you a bitch out of nowhere. Planning a big get-together with a synced meal schedule on a travel day is an awful idea. It would be reasonable to ask someone to wait to eat if it was half an hour or so. 3 hours is ridiculous. Suraimo. I'd say you're not the asshole for feeding your kid. I also think you could have had something at 4 that was more of a snack to keep you going until 7. I'm an early eater too, and I would be beyond hangry if I had to wait 3 hours to eat. However, I think you're the asshole for how you handled the situation. There was nothing stopping you having a snack and still going to dinner. I think the not going to dinner was rude if you're all meant to be holidaying together. You are not the asshole and your sil is a piece of entitled work. Ignore her. Definitely not the asshole. My sil got married in Cozumel in 2018. They got there on Tuesday. Everyone else arrived Thursday, Saturday wedding. We had a very long day of travel and didn't make it more than 20 minutes into dinner before we had to beg off or we would have fallen asleep at the table. No one cared, they totally understood, and the rest of the weekend was great. Absolutely not the asshole. I don't get the commenters that are critical of the op. Food and sleep are basic necessities. All sort of family obligations should come second. Even more when there is a 4-year-old child in the mix. Unless that is the one and only evening to socialize with the family, and it doesn't seem so from the context. That is absolutely unnecessary level of imposed conformity. Op would have time to meet everybody and talk to them the next day and evening. if they didn't decide to take that personal and be standoffish with her. Info. How old is your son? When is his bedtime and how grumpy was he from traveling? As a mom of a 1-year-old, screwing with bedtime and taking a grumpy toddler to dinner is hell for the mom, so I could definitely see why she wouldn't want to go. Depending on how long the rest of the trip is and how OP is with spending time with everyone the rest of the time. I don't see it as a big deal. In my family everyone has their quirks and we're not always together for every second of vacation. Not the asshole. Why is everyone on a damn schedule the first night? I get that you should spend time together, but then to also expect you to make breakfast just because you woke up early. She's just looking for something to fight about. She's making assumptions. Vacations are for relaxing, not to be on the go. Obviously make time for dinner, but it doesn't have to be every night. Not the asshole. If it's the first day of the vacation, haven't you got the rest of the time to eat together and generally hang out? Or is it a rule that you have to be around each other at all waking hours and have the same wake schedule? Nat. Last thing anyone wants is hangry kids. Wait 3 hours to eat after, right? Keep your kid deprived of food too. And getting told off for going to bed. Essay vacation. Your in-laws sound like a headache. You did nothing wrong. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Traveling affects people differently. Forcing yourself to stay up may work for some, but it doesn't work for everyone. You did what you needed to do for yourself and your son. Do not apologize, you did nothing wrong. That lady needs to make her own breakfast. Not the asshole. The day of traveling arrival is the whatever happens day. You can try for activities or group meals, but basically the whole day is dedicated to everyone and their belongings arriving to the vacation in one piece. Had they actually wanted everyone to attend that dinner, then they should have planned it earlier. Most young kids are heading towards bed around 7 p.m. They are not eating dinner. Also, your sil is an asshole for thinking you should be making everyone breakfast because you were up first. They are grown adults and can make their own damn food. Info. Is there a pattern at play here? Have you vacationed with your in-laws before? Do you frequently wind up needing to go to bed earlier than the people you're hanging out with? And then waking up way earlier than them to continue the cycle? Or was this just Sil inventing a problem before it happened? Info. Are there any other young children on this trip? And this is why you can't travel with everyone. Not the asshole. How TF can someone be on vacation if other people are telling them what they can and cannot do? FTS. What's the timeline? You arrived in the afternoon. 8. Slept. Made yourself breakfast when nobody else was up yet, so maybe 12 to 18 hours. How long is this vacation? Did you blow the only night you had available? WTF. It sounds like your in-laws are self-centered and only are satisfied if you play by their rules. I might understand that they express disappointment at not seeing you at dinner. But you should have made everyone breakfast because you woke up first is a bit of a leap. Not the asshole. But if this attitude towards you keeps up, maybe you should be. She absolutely should not have spoken to you that way. But excluding yourself from family vacation activities and then not understanding why some people might be standoffish with you. I didn't socialize with them and now they won't socialize with me. I don't understand. Am I the asshole for letting my daughter be kicked out of a wedding since she wasn't modest enough? My daughter is 18. Emma. Before she turned 18, we had a rule that I could ask them to change if the outfit wasn't appropriate. Rarely happened because I truly didn't care as long as the main parts were covered. Now when they turned 18, they are an adult and most of the house rules didn't really apply. We were invited to a wedding to a close friend. My daughter is friend with her daughter and I am friends with the mother. They are religious. I know this and she knows this. It was a church and the invite said modest. No cleavage. Knee length and so on. I didn't expect anything else. Well, a few weeks ago Emma showed what dress she was going to wear and I mentioned that it won't work. The dress was cute but strapless. I thought she would change it but didn't. So on the day of the wedding she wore that. I even commented that it won't work again. She said it will be fine. Well, we get there and her friend's brother stopped her at the door. She tried to argue but got kicked out. I still went to the wedding. I got home today and she called me an ass for not defending her and staying at the wedding with their old school dress code. Not the asshole. She has the freedom to dress as she wishes. She has the freedom of being the sole responsible for the consequences. Not the asshole. You told her. She didn't want to listen. She learned how the world works. Not the asshole. You didn't control your daughter. You just warned her about the dress code. She chose to ignore it. And as a result she wasn't let in. That's not your fault. Not the asshole. Sounds like she was trying to make a point about the dress code. Disrupting someone else's wedding is not the right way to do that. She should have RSVP'd in the negative and said why. That would have let her stand up for herself without disrupting someone else's wedding. Not the asshole. When you are a guest at someone's wedding, you abide by their wishes. Especially when they are explicitly stated. If you can't, don't go. You even warned her twice. And she chose to ignore you. Then had the nerve to get mad that you didn't cause a scene. What the fuck did she expect would happen? Your daughter has the maturity of a 13-year-old. I saw a woman's shoulders at a wedding once and now I'm pregnant with twins. Emma needs to think about the consequences of her choices. I assume Emma can read. I assume she can understand what she reads. The invite had a specific dress code. I assume Emma read the dress code. Or was informed of it. She somehow thought she was exempt from the dress code. She found out she wasn't. She FAFO. Not the asshole. Some churches even insist on a head covering being worn. We were in Arles, France, and for those women without a head covering, or who were showing their shoulders, there was a box of shawls by the door. There was a separate box for you to place your used shawl in by the exit. And this was just for the tourists who wanted to look inside. No woman could enter unless their shoulders and head were covered. Not the asshole. Your daughter was told and decided to break the dress code. Your daughter is also an adult. She FAFO. Not the asshole. She called me an ass for not defending her and staying at the wedding with their old school dress code. You told her more than once that her dress wouldn't be acceptable. She knew what the dress code was, chose to ignore it. That's on her. She chose to be hard-headed, got exactly what she deserved. Not the asshole. The dress code was clearly stated on the invitation. She's an adult and needs to learn to follow a dress code. Not the asshole. She knew the rules, but still decided to flaunt it, even after you repeatedly warned her about it. Not the asshole. If you had forced her to change, she would have also gotten angry. You told her about the issue. She ignored it and she found out. Heck, starting a fuss at a friend's wedding because of this would have been a bigger asshole move. Not the asshole. It's a religious thing. Annoying. Outdated. Sure, but this isn't an educational institution, it's a private religious affair. Not the asshole. I'm an atheist, but I still respect other people's religious customs, etc. If you're supposed to dress modest in church, you dress modest in church. It's called being respectful. She made her adult choice and she could go and stay her adult self at home. Not the asshole. A dress code is a dress code. Either abide or don't go. It's pretty simple. I think you handled the situation perfectly. Not the asshole. You told her it wouldn't work. She learned a lesson to follow dress codes if she wants to attend. You were fine still attending. You don't need to support her in her poor decision making. When I was 16, back in the 80s, I shaved my hair into a mohawk. My mom was pretty conservative. Catholic church secretary, etc. And I couldn't wait until she got home to see my new do. She walked in the door, gave a little gasp, stared for a moment, then went about her evening. Later she said she was going to the store and I asked if I could go with her. Without missing a beat she said no. It's your choice to do that. It's my choice not to be seen with you. I was mad, but inside I knew that I just witnessed some master parenting. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She apparently subscribes to the saying the rule are for thee but not for me. She thought she'd get away with this and miscalculated. You warned her but she knew better. And reaped the consequences. She's just pissed that you were right. You didn't have to support what you didn't agree with. Not the asshole, but TBH, like just because it's strapless she can't wear it. Seems kinda odd. Sound like a real hoot of a wedding. Were they Mennonite? Or that is, I need context. Not the asshole. She's an adult that was taught an adult lesson. If the wedding said formal attire and she showed up in leggings and a t-shirt, she wouldn't be let in either. Not the asshole. You were guests at someone else's event. A religious wedding at that. She can dress however she wants, but she needs to learn to show respect to others. You were specifically told it will be modest dress code. She didn't have to come if she wasn't happy abiding by the dress code. Not the asshole. Your daughter learned an embarrassing lesson on FAFO. I was all set to call you an R from the title of your post. But not the asshole. She showed a lack of respect to others as a guest at their function. Consequences. Not the asshole. She was warned. And ignored it. The wedding had a dress code. It wasn't her wedding. And she decided to ignore the dress code. I can dislike the dress code all I want, I actually do, and think it's dumb. But it's not my place to decide it's okay to break it because it's not my wedding. Wanna go to other people's events? Respect their rules. Even if they're dumb. If they bother you so much, then just don't go. We're all adults. We can miss events because we disagree with things. Wait. What was wrong with her dress? Info. Were there specific rules about being strapless? Or did the dress break any of the stated rules? Cleavage. Knee length. If the invite only specifically noted knee length and no cleavage and the dress was strapless but adhered to those rules, I would say that she shouldn't have been kicked out because the rules were followed. If it did mention strapless as a no-no and she wore it anyway, then it's kinda her fault for not following the dress code. Can we get the exact wording on the invite? Was there room for interpretation? Am I the asshole for deciding I won't let my BF be a stay-at-home dad after I said he could be? My BF and I have been together for 5 years. I make around $140,000 a year working as a QA manager, and he makes $40.50K working as a warehouse forklift driver. He's never been into working, and we talked about him SAHD, and I initially agreed because childcare is expensive. We want at least 2 kids. 7 months ago he lost his job when there was a push for unionization, and some people were essentially bullied out. He was without a job, and I agreed to cover living expenses fully if he does the housework, cooks, etc. Before, I didn't really think of his ability as a SAHD. In the 7 months I come home to empty beer bottles, trash on the coffee table, the fridge is constantly empty because he was supposed to go buy groceries, but never does. And when he does, it's mostly junk food. We originally agreed he would cook, and he has cooked maybe 4 meals for me. I'm still doing most of the cooking and cleaning. Now I just can't imagine him as a stay-at-home dad. He just sleeps in and barely applies for jobs. He just got one, but that's finally in response to me putting my foot down that I'm no longer supporting him. My mom was a stay-at-home mother, and with 4 kids she still kept a spotless house and cooked every meal from scratch. We've been fighting about this a lot recently, and I have told him if we do have kids he has to work, because he isn't contributing at all now, and so I can't imagine he will do anything as a SAHD. He yelled that he has to apply for jobs and he's under a lot of stress. But what's the stress? He has everything taken care of, and he barely applies to 1-2 jobs a day. He didn't do anything we agreed upon what me taking care of finances, and I don't know how to move forward with the relationship. But am I the asshole for no longer wanting him to be a SAHD now that I see what he's been like the last 7 months? Edit. Thanks for all the comments. I've decided to end the relationship and will tell him this afternoon. This made me realize how resentful and unhappy I am with him, and that is unlikely to change. To those who say he probably has depression, he has never communicated it, but yes, it could be the reason. But even if he does, I doubt just by knowing it will fix my resentment. So it's best we end on semi-friendly terms. Not the asshole. And absolutely do not have children with this person until and unless he has a hard re-evaluation of his own life and priorities. Frankly, you should boot him. Not only do I think you should avoid having kids with him, I think you should reconsider being with him. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you think he is useless now, wait until you have kids. How much help he was unemployed. He will be even less help when he can also claim he's so tired and stressed not getting sleep and having to have a job and not be a SAHD. You will be working and doing all the child rearing and household work when you are home. Really think if you want to do this alone with a stump for a husband before having kids. Not the asshole. Don't have kids with him. If he can't manage to cook for 2 and even semi-clean now, how is he going to take care of kids while you work? Sounds wants someone to take care of him and him take care of nothing. Avoid this. Do not have kids with this man. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, but you need to seriously consider whether this is a person you want to have children with. If he cannot take care of some simple household chores, how do you think he fare looking after a child? He doesn't want to work. Yet he doesn't want to do his share of home chores. Do you honestly think he will do his share of caring for baby? He thought he was choosing the easy path, but then realized it wasn't what he envisioned. Honestly, sounds like a mooch. Not the asshole. A SAHD doesn't mean he can just do whatever he wants and relax all day. He needs to pull his weight. the kids' weight, and chores. If H is failing in any of those areas, H is pretty much just bumming it as a glorified babysitter who gets drunk and watches TV most of the time. You need to have a talk about what his responsibilities need to be every day if he's not going to work. At that point he can either work or find someone else who will mother him. Not the asshole you stated observed facts re his behavior. You both don't share the same priorities. He acts like you owe him this lifestyle. This is not a good partnership for you. He's not going to change, in fact. Instead of him communicating with you, he argues. What exactly is pleasant for you that justifies staying? This relationship has no future, and the sooner you realize that and get out of it, the better. This clearly isn't what you want from a relationship, so go and find someone who isn't lazy like this and makes excuses. This is not the person for you to have children with. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. It's time to rethink their future. He will not be the stay-at-home dad you want. To be fair, no one will be like your mom. But he put no effort into doing what needed to be done around the house. This guy wants a free ride. He wants no responsibility and you to support him. It's time you realize before it is too late that you are not compatible. Not the asshole. Do not have children with this man. Just saw the edit. Congratulations, you no longer have an adult child to care for. Partying face, you got this op. Not the asshole. Dude has no motivation. He could try therapy if it's depression based. But you might just be seeing his true self. Honestly, I'd reconsider moving forward with the relationship at all. Don't have kids with this man. Do not have kids with this man if he can't even keep a house clean. ATM with W kids. Let's be real, like 2-3 hours a day and he could easily have a clean house. Groceries in the fridge and cook dinner. Not the asshole. This dude is a bum. Embarrassing, really. Not the asshole. Now that he's shown his true colors of laziness, would you really want to have kids with this guy? Sounds like you would end up doing everything if you had kids. He needs to prove to you that he will do the work. Or you need to do some heavy thinking about if he is really the right person to have children with. Not the asshole. But even if he isn't a SAHD, do you think you could raise kids with him? You'll still be working because you're the breadwinner. And it doesn't sound like he will help with the kids or the house, and he'll complain about all the stress of his job. Think long and hard and maybe have some therapy before you plan any kids. Not the asshole. Being a stay-at-home parent is a job. He's not doing the work. Not the asshole. What is even keeping you with this leech? Not the asshole. Sounds like you're done with him and just need reassurance to do it. Kind of off topic. But curious, what were your steps to becoming QA manager? I'm looking into it. But with you being so young, was just wondering if there's an accelerated path I wasn't aware of. Come on. You going to leave a baby with him? Seriously, girl. Give your head a shake. Not the asshole. Even if he was a SAHD, he wouldn't be jobless. That would be the job. If you both came to an agreement about what that job description entails: cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, etc., and he's not fulfilling those tasks per the arrangement, it's absolutely acceptable to say this is no longer a feasible option. Thank him for giving you a glimpse into your future with kids before you had them and the run for the hills. Not the asshole.